Y'all already know, Looper Norris back with another one of these album reaction episodes. So I'm releasing this on a different day. The schedule with all my videos is gonna change just a bit. From now on, I'm gonna do 2 album reaction videos a week and 1 TikTok compilation a week. There used to be 2 for the TikTok compilations. Now I'm just doing 1 per week. It'll allow me to focus a little bit more on the music that I'm putting out so that you guys are getting the best quality music possible from me. In order for me to do that, I decided to take 1 TikTok compilation video off the schedule. So today, the album reaction video, and then tomorrow, a TikTok compilation video, and then the next day will be another album reaction. So I'm still keeping the 2 album reaction videos for every week. The video that I do for Sundays, that's still gonna continue. Just keep that in mind. New album reaction. So before we go through this album reaction, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the new music that I'll drop in soon. So the new song Waldo, that's set for December 4th, 12 o'clock round the dot. The day's coming real soon. It's about 2 weeks from now. So I'm dropping another song for December 14th, but I'm not gonna reveal the name of the track quite yet. Once Waldo's out, then I'll talk about that track and the new album that I'm currently working on. This is a 10-track album set for next year, closer to when the weather starts getting a little warmer. Yeah, so after I drop Waldo, then I'll talk more about the album. Subscribe to the channel, stay tuned, like the video of course too. Today we're gonna do the new album by Cordae, The Crossroads. He released this one November 15th, so this one is brand new. I'm about to go through the whole album, play 4 tracks from the album, just a snippet from each track, give you guys an idea of how this one sounds like. After I play those tracks, I'm gonna start talking about the album. Yeah, my full overview on the album, how I feel, how good or bad it is. I'm gonna give a rating at the end of the video. That should be it, man. New album by Cordae, The Crossroads. The first song I'll play, this one's called What Really Matters.
Nothing before the love that was brought from my Aunt Tammy. Nothing before the love which I found from this pen and pad. Nothing like when someone loves you.
This one's called Syrup Sandwiches, featuring Joey Badass.
In the heat, they stuck to the streets like concrete. The hustle's in me. They say you gotta beat the block up till your knuckles will bleed. That mean a nigga gotta rap into the pen out of ink.
This one's called All Alone.
A brand new ride, you by yourself on a 5-hour drive, and look, when you feel with so much pride and take a deep.
The last track I'll play, this one is called Mad as Fuck.
Niggas, man, don't even try to dab me up. Black diamonds on me, man, this shit straight out of Africa. Yeah, I kill.
New album by Cordae, The Crossroads. All the songs that I played just a second ago, that's all off of SoundCloud, his SoundCloud account, you know what I mean? Keep that in mind. Cordae, this is a rapper from North Carolina, American rapper. He started his career with the YBN members, so that's YBN Namir and YBN J Almighty. Those are the past members from that crew. YBN Cordae, that's the name that he would go by, but ever since he left that crew, he took the YBN out, so now everyone knows him as Cordae. So I guess it's like a fresh chapter for him, leaving the crew and trying to make a name for himself as a solo artist. And honestly, he's a lot better of an artist now than he was with the YBN members, because he is doing a lot better than the other 2. At least it seems like it. And he's making better music also, so I think it was a smart idea for him to do that. Another cool fact about him, he's currently dating the one superstar tennis player, Naomi Osaka. Pretty sure she's like a top 10 or top 20 player. Honestly, I always thought his rap style reminded me of Big Sean with a little bit of J. Cole mixed in. Maybe a little bit of Drake and Kanye West here and there. One of the first things I've noticed about the album, I think the name of the album reflects the name of the tracks really well. It's almost like he wrote a book with this album. A lot of emotions throughout it. A lot of what he's talking about has to do with his recent kid. He just got a new baby. Pretty sure it's the same tennis player, the Naomi girl. I think the name of the tracks and the meaning behind every track represents the name of the album and just the whole mood and vibe of the album very well. I think it's the strongest part of the album. The fact that he sort of wrote a book with this one. Instead of making a mixtape style album, he's going off with like a really long verse or trying to like kill off every track. Like it's more of like an emotional, well put together together almost like a book type of album, more so than like a mixtape style album. And it's something that I respect, because I feel like a lot of rappers nowadays will be making albums that sound too much like mixtapes, where every song is completely random. None of the songs like stand out in a bad way, where it's like it sounds more like a throwaway rather than a track that belongs in the album. So like every track that you're listening to sounds like a track that belongs in the album. It's almost like it's a jigsaw puzzle, and every track is like a puzzle piece. So when you put it all together, it creates the picture. I guess you can say the name of the album, The Crossroads. That's what you basically see when you put all the pieces together, and that's what you sort of get from this album, which I like heavily about the album. The best part about the album, I'll definitely say, like I was saying, most of what he's talking about throughout the album is about his newborn baby. When you're listening to his raps throughout the album, and it represents the name of the album, Crossroads, it's like he's sort of reflected on everything he's gone through in his career up until this point, and having a baby sort of made him like sit down and sort of like look back into his like past and all of the stuff that he's gone through to get to where he's at now. Because honestly, he's at a really good place now, making quality music and also making a lot of money off of it, not just chasing clout just to get people to pay attention to him. He's the type of artist that can make great music, be lyrical, get people to listen to it that way, rather than just make chaos in the world and create drama so then he gets his clout that way. All the songs, like how he's songwriting throughout the tracks, represent that big time, which makes the album sound more like an album, more of a poetic, emotional vibe to it. Most of the songs, not all the songs are like that. So that's something I respect from Cordae, making an album like this, even with his age too. Like, he's a younger guy, he's 27 years old, in his mid-20s. You'd expect a rapper in his mid-20s to like go with like a different route when it comes to how they design their album and the type of formula that they're putting into it. Another thing I liked about the album, it reminds me of A$AP Ferg's album, Daryl. The way he made every track completely different from every other track. For the most part, he keeps it hip-hop, more like Kanye West, Talib Kweli, Mos Def style of hip-hop. Like, there isn't a lot of new school style hip-hop that he'll use in every track. There's a lot more older influences going on through each track when you're listening to it. So like songs like Never See It featuring Juicy J has more of like a funk, horrorcore style, trap style sound to it. You'll listen to a song, say Saturday Mornings featuring Lil Wayne, and it's like a completely different vibe. It sounds like a completely different track from a completely different artist. And then you'll have a song like Syrup Sandwiches featuring Joey Badass. You listen to the beat and it has more of like no drums, no percussion, looping sample, sort of like the Alchemist style of a beat. The song that was sampled is like something so bizarre and odd, and it's being looped, so it creates a different experience for the listener, especially when you compare it to songs like Never See It featuring Juicy J and Pray featuring Ty Dolla $ign. Like, every track on here has sort of a different element to it. That reminds me of Daryl by A$AP Ferg. I feel like this might be the future of hip-hop, and you'll hear more older or younger rappers trying out the same style where they're making every song completely different depending on the era of influence that they're using. The production has a lot to do with this. The production is getting switched up on almost every track, forcing Cordae to switch up his style and flow so that he keeps up with the beat. The chemistry remains strong between the rapper and the producer the entire way. He does his part by shaping the puzzle piece so that it fits properly into the beat. Another thing about this album, man, the negatives, I guess you can say, for the most part, I think it's a solid album. I think it's above average. I have more good things to say about it than bad things. If I had to say bad things about the album, the beats are good. Every track, the beat kind of switches up in terms of the style. You're getting like a completely different beat. You're hearing a lot of influence from old styles in the past being rejuvenated and used on this album. It continues to switch depending on what track you're listening to, but at the same time, I think the beats could have been a little bit stronger. There's like a handful of beats that I really like on here. For the most part, it doesn't stay consistent throughout. There's a lot of beats on here that I thought was just alright. If anything, a little bit worse than alright, because of the type of rapper Cordae is, how good of a lyricist he is. You think every beat would be a banger on here for a rapper like Cordae, but maybe it was just Cordae's way of trying trying something different, not just trying to like kill off every beat and make every beat a banger. It makes the album sound like any other album that you'd get in 2024. The artist in him wanted to try something different and make music that no one's really heard before. There's a lot more uniqueness in the beats than bangers. You're getting more of like a different beat that you've never heard before. I'd say maybe a little more than half. Like most of the beats are pretty much, I wouldn't say experimental, but just like the style that's being used is like an old way of making beats. It's like he tries to rejuvenate them through his raps. I don't think he makes beats himself, but he probably helps the producers that he works with to make the beats, and maybe he tells the producers that he wants the beats to sound a certain way so that it makes the album sound more unique. It's not that bad, you know what I mean? Like I think the beats are like alright. I think the beats are better than okay, but they definitely could have been better. With Cordae's rapping, one of the best rappers in their mid-20s, let's put it that way. I wouldn't consider him a top like 10 or 15 or even a top 20 rapper in the game. As good as he is, he's one of the best like young rappers out there. My issue with Cordae, I think he just like his flow, the type of like lines that he'll drop sound very generic compared to like most rappers that you would hear. He sounds too much like Big Sean and J. Cole for me. His flow isn't basic, but he has like the type of rap style that sounds like anybody can do it. It sounds like messed up for me to say like that because then it sounds like I'm disrespecting his style just a bit, but it's not the case. Like I think he's a great lyricist, and there's a bunch of lines that he'll drop where like it makes me like think like, yo, he really knows how to put punchlines together. He's great at metaphors and similes. 100% a lyricist, don't get me wrong, but it's like the way he raps sometimes just sounds too much like other rappers I've heard before. And all the features that he's rapping with, they're all catching him, man. Lil Wayne on Saturday Mornings, bro, like, man, I don't think I've ever heard a track where the feature killed off the main artist on his own track, bro. Like, he should have went with a harder style, flow, harder lines, but I mean, Lil Wayne, I think he's top 3 greatest rappers of all time. If anything, he might be the greatest, and he destroys Cordae on that track, man. Like, bro, all the other features on the other tracks sort of do the same thing, like Joey Badass on Syrup Sandwiches, even though I think Cordae did pretty good on that one. Good, he's a great lyricist, but I've heard him rap a little bit better on like other projects and other songs. He doesn't do the best lyrical performance on this album, but maybe because his mind was more into like the artsy side of putting together an album. He was more on like the poetic, emotional side, talking a lot about his newborn baby, life changing. So the focus is more on that rather than trying to come up with like Lil Wayne style like punchlines where he's just destroying every beat that he's rapping on. It's almost like he holds back just a bit, like he's pulling his punches just a bit. You can almost look at it like that. Maybe that's why he doesn't do his best on this album, but definitely not the best lyrical performance I've heard from Cordae. Overall, man, I think it's a good album. More on the emotional, poetic side, definitely being real with his audience on this one. I think it's good, but not his best. What it represents, I definitely respect Cordae for making an album like this. Being a 27-year-old, having all these other like famous rappers and producers that he has connections with, being 27, he could have made this album in any other way, but he decided to be more personal, emotional with it, everything he's going through, a little more consistency with the beats. In terms of a rating, I'm giving this one an 8.2 out of 10. I think it's the perfect rating just because for the most part it's a strong album for a lot of different reasons, and the features, they all did really good. He picked the perfect features for the album too. Album gives off a lot of Kanye West vibes, and he sounds like J. Cole and Big Sean put together. And I'm not talking about lyrically, I think it's like his voice and his flow. Skill wise, I mean, he's nowhere close to Big Sean and J. Cole, but definitely a lyricist. He can definitely put together some lines to make you think. Above average for sure, but I definitely heard better from Cordae. 8.2 out of 10. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. I got another one of these episodes dropping this week, so keep that in mind. Subscribe, like the video, of course, comment, let me know how you guys feel about this album. Plenty more music to come, more content to drop. Just subscribe to the channel. I'll keep you guys posted about any kind of change that happens in the future. Follow me, add me on other social media outlets. Follow me through SoundCloud. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next episode, man. That's all I got for this one. I'm out.